I'm Bambi Francisco with Vader TV, the network for innovators, and I'm speaking with Esther Dyson. She's a commentator, she's a journalist, she's an investor, she's a luminary in the world of technology and innovation. She's going to space next year, which I'm training to go to space. But here's something I bet you didn't know. She's the author of a commercially successful refrigerator magnet, and I think that's what she's most proudest of. Right, Esther?
At least it's tangible.
What does it say?
It says always make new mistakes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's about, and make them fast, probably.
Make them fast and learn, and then make a different one next time.
Right, exactly. Well, it'd be kind of silly if you just made the same mistakes over again, but people probably
Amazing how much people do.
So, Esther, so let's start with this, with your big adventure that you're embarking on next year. It's next year, right?
The timing is still a little vague for the record, but I'm going to be training to be a backup for a commercial space astronaut. This happens in Moscow at the Russian Space Agency, and then the actual launch, where I'll be watching, unless I get lucky, is going to be from Baikonur in Kazakhstan.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And how long is this training going to be for?
It's about 3 months. If you don't know Russian, there's another month learning Russian, but I've already done that.
Oh, wow. You speak Russian?
Yeah. You need to know how to say emergency exit in Russian.
Right.
So there's one commercial, typically non-Russian person, and then there's 2 Russian astronauts all going up together, and the training is really which button to push in case of an emergency. And of course you need to understand how it works, and you need to go through weightlessness and the centrifuge, and so it's going to be really great, even if I don't go.
Shape and all that, and
stay in shape. She says proudly.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, stay in shape. You're in great shape. How much is that? You mentioned before, but
$3 million.
Just as an option, basically,
it seems
to get to.
Pretty frivolous, but it is an education. At the end of it, I'll know how it works. I'll know the community, and I'll have a much better chance of going into space. So it's worth it.
I think it's fascinating. So it's sort of this, you started off covering technology. Is it getting quite boring? I mean, I know this is still technology, but...
well, my father helped design a rocket ship when I was a kid, and I always just figured I'd go to the moon and didn't need to do anything in particular about it, but it turns out that I do. And so in the meantime, it's not that the internet is boring, but to some extent I think the intellectual risk is gone. Clearly there's a lot of business risk still, and there's lots of really interesting ventures, but in terms of stuff that people still don't pay attention to or think is frivolous or just this is where I think a lot of the world's attention is going to turn to in the future, probably healthcare even more so, but really this is the next place we need to go other than the oceans. We can go to Mars and figure out how to manipulate a climate and then take that knowledge back to Earth. We can do asteroid mining for precious metals and things. We can do a lot of drug development in zero gravity, and just like the internet, or just like going to America, you go into uncharted territory, and it's amazing what new things you learn and what new opportunities you discover. And
that's why you're focusing a lot on aviation and healthcare.
Yes.
And one of the companies, 23andMe, you're invested in that company, and this is very newsworthy at this point, because we found out just a day ago about, or at least the public found out about Sergey Brin, and on his blog it said, I carry the G2019S gene or variant, and which is responsible for
but we didn't find out much. What we found out is that he has a higher chance of getting it than your average person. But as he said himself, my chance is 20 to 80%, because we don't really know enough. There's a correlation, but suppose 2 out of 10 people with this gene get it, and that's not the number, but suppose, and you have a population of 10, you don't know whether these 2 are actually 2 out of 10 or 2 out of 100, but you had the wrong sample of 10 out of the 100. In other words, we don't.
Bigger sample set.
And so what he said yesterday was beautiful. He said really three things. One, obviously this is really interesting, and there are things I can do about it, which frankly are going to be good for him, whether he ends up getting Parkinson's or not, or however likely he is, which is to eat right, exercise more. I mean, in a sense, if finding this,
you could do to prevent it?
There's some sense that exercise is something of a protection, and exercise is a protection against almost anything bad that happens to you. So it's a little extra incentive to do this. But what he can also do is being Sergey Brin, he can donate money to research, which he's doing, and third, he can donate his own tissue samples, his own data to research. And at this point, in 10 years, we'll have a much better knowledge of what that genetic variant means. Right now, we don't know. So
that's sort of the question of the accuracy of this underlying science.
The accuracy of the science is fine, but we don't have enough data to make accurate predictions yet. It's sort of like saying, if you toss up enough coins, you'll get accurate. But we've only tossed up 10 coins right now. We need to toss up 1,000.
Right.
So the early users of 23andMe, including Sergey, are benefactors. The later users are going to be beneficiaries of all the information put into the system by the initial users.
How do you see this as a business evolving?
Well, obviously,
You're on the board.
I'm on the board. We just lowered our price from $1,000 to $399.
I said that at the V Lab. If anybody was there, I said, "Why is it $1,000? You should lower it to $500 or so."
We listened to you.
Thank you.
So,
Linda was there, Linda Avery, but I'm sure she didn't listen to me. But thank you. You're on the board of a lot of companies. Are you still on the board of these companies, or name the companies that you're on the board?
I'll try and list. I'm sort of like McCain with his houses. Let me see if I can remember them all. There's WPP Group, which owns Ogilvy and Mather and J. Walter Thompson, and that's sort of my only respectable board.
Oh, don't say that.
But it's
about the other.
It's a wonderful board to be on, and then the others are all. Well, there's ironically.
Flickr? Are you still on?
Well, no, Flickr. I wasn't on the board.
Flickr,
it's now owned by Yahoo.
You're invested in that.
I'm on the board. So I'm on the board of 23andMe, has an investment from Google, and then I'm on the board of Yandex, which is the leading search engine in Russia with approximately 60% market share and competes effectively with Google. I'm on the advisory board of 2 other companies in Russia. I am on the board of Meetup, which is the service for community organizers.
Sure.
And
that's been around for
we
a while.
appreciate Obama's support. And I'm on the board of Voxiva, which is the power of the internet, the immediacy of the cell phone. It's kind of like a Salesforce.com with cell phones as the user interface rather than a computer. And I'm on the board of Boxby, which makes your inbox manageable.
Yes, you cannot email without going through Boxby.
To me, yes. eDyson@boxby.com. You can. I'm happy to say it in public.
Exactly.
Yes. Eventful.com, which is kind of a social event database service. You can, as a performer, you can have people demand your presence. So it's kind of like user-generated marketing for events and performers.
Are you busier now than you have been?
Yeah, I'm busier than ever, but I'm having a ball. And I'm also on the board of Airship Ventures, the company that's bringing a Zeppelin to the West Coast. That's arriving October 20th.
Right.
And we'll be
selling. Where is it going to be parked?
It's going to be parked right next to Larry and Sergey's jet in.
Will you be flying in it too?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
It's going to come in from Texas, and we've had a little trouble with the ports.
Okay.
But it should arrive around October 20th, and then we'll be selling seats, we'll be selling advertising on the side, and as part of the deal with NASA will be using it for various kinds of scientific. You can do really great seismic surveys because it doesn't disturb the ground, and it's very quiet, so you can have instruments set up. They used to use one to look for diamonds in Botswana.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it leasing it to the government, or
it's a contract. I don't think we're leasing it, but it's going to be a source of revenue. Yeah,
revenue right now. What's the investment climate? Obviously, pretty shaky out there.
Yeah.
For the public markets. Are you still investing in early stage companies?
In theory, I am. I'm not totally liquid right now, and I owe Space Adventures some money for this space training we'll be talking about.
To go to space, so you'll be busy.
I would be investing. I think this bubble is. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you like, the public bubble has burst. The Silicon Valley. There's too many people trying to do the same things. Partly because it's so easy to start a business now. What's hard is to sustain it and to get the money to market. You can have there's probably 10 equivalent products. The company that gets the money to find the audience is the one that's going to succeed. So it's
a different mindset than trying to do it. We talked about social media and on VaderBox, and trying to do it with $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And trying to get to profitability, or letting it bake for 5 years or 10 years.
The problem is you can do that, and you can let it bake for 5 years, but meanwhile, everyone else is out there grabbing market share, and it may mean that nobody's profitable. So I think this is a great time to invest, but probably not in video sharing or yet another news company,
news site.
Which is why I like things that are more vertical. And again, I think healthcare is a really strong area. I'm not just in 23andMe, but also in Patients Like Me and Organized Wisdom and a couple of other things I'm looking at.
So I guess that's if you were to invest, and actually backing that a little bit.
And I am still investing. I'm doing a couple of interesting new things.
Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, there is. I'm trying to think which ones I can mention, which ones I'm actually investing in as opposed to intending to. But there are a couple that are involved with sort of political discourse. I've just joined the board of something called a meritocracy, which the idea is to take public statements or quotes and assess their validity and their relevance, because there's so much trash being thrown up in the air, and so this is an attempt to basically to fact check and quality control statements using the public to weigh in on the validity of a particular statement. Like, things that bother me, like let's reduce the tax on gas, and yes, of course it will reduce the cost of gas, but it's a really stupid thing to do. And so this particular statement may be true in the short term, but it's not true in the long term, and things like that. We need more
dialogue.
Yeah, no, not dialogue. More pushback. More quality control. When a politician says something stupid or obnoxious or has an ad that's blatantly untrue, let's fight back.
Is that how developed is this site? I mean, is it working right now with the politicians? Because this is the time to
no,
be up and running.
It's really
it's
launching soon, and of course I don't know exactly when this is going to air. So but coming up soon.
So
I'm
we'll
trying to think what else I just.
A meritocracy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And boy, this is amazing. What else did I just write a check to?
Besides the $3 million
there's a company called CE Interactive, which is basically helps to make the process of buying and configuring consumer electronics more convenient and just foolproof. I mean, there's a whole lot going on in increasing efficiency of kind of crazy things. I put money into Icon Aircraft, which is building the light sport aircraft. That won't be out for probably a year or two, which I think is great timing. I mean, again, just when the market is going down is when you want to put money into things that will be launching their products when they come out in a year or two.
So your overall, do you think it's going to affect early stage investing? the market turmoil?
Oh, it has to. Partly because of sentiment, but also because people are less liquid and just have less money to put into things. So it's actually a really good time to invest if you're good at picking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you go out and just
sprinkle it around.
Yeah, but I'm fundamentally a contrarian, so I like it when everybody's, oh, woe is me, because then you can be a contrarian by being cheerful.
Sure.
Whereas when everybody's cheerful, all you can do is say, no, you guys are just, you're too optimistic, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it when people are gloomy, you can cheer them up. So guys, it's not going to be that bad, and it's not going to last forever.
You started with PC Forum when there was not that many.
Yeah, actually, it was founded by Ben Rosen back in 1977, and I bought it from him in 1983. And at that point,
there was pretty much
there was
the only
nothing.
one.
It was, and we co-sponsored it with Ella Rothschild Underberg Tobin. There really wasn't much of anything, and you could have the whole industry in one room. If somebody had dropped a bomb on PC Forum in 1982,
you would have gotten everyone.
Yeah, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Andy Grove.
How has it changed now with everywhere you go, every week there is a conference?
Well, first of all, the industry itself, and this is good in one sense, is much more decentralized. You don't have these tremendous gravity distortion fields. Mm-hmm. You could argue perhaps with Google you do, but there's so much action going on in so many different places, mm-hmm. and you can't get everybody in one room, which is good, but it means that it's much harder to convene a group of people who really matter and have them really listening to one another. And I think the D conference right now does that the best.
The D conference is probably one of the more successful ones of all of them. They're able to fill their gathering with really high-profile people.
Yeah, with people you want to sit next to at lunch.
Exactly. So, okay, Esther, we are going to have you back to talk about sorts of changes in the way we socialize. I know that's something that you like to look at. You've analyzed for a long time how technology has changed social norms. So,
yeah, you were going to ask me how it is that.
How does technology change the way
people's
we socialize?
behavior? Yeah.
Yes, and the etiquette. And so we'll be back with Esther Dyson. I've been speaking with Esther Dyson, commentator, journalist, investor, and she'll join me for another interview. I'm Bambi Francisco. You've been watching Vader TV.